Today was another day where I wanted to kind of maintain working on the front squats, but also add in something different. So I did front squats, then I did block pulls with the low handle on the trap bar, and just to kind of see where I could go. On the front squats, I chatted with a friend of mine about trying to figure out a way to cue myself to be a little bit more upright and in control of my hips when doing the front squats to avoid that feeling like I'm dumping the bar at the bottom. And he suggested that the cue was pretend that you were pooping and that sort of like lean backwards as you're sitting back onto your toilet as the way to visualize to position your hips. And to be honest, it worked. I was able to, or not so much on the toilet, but like squatting down and like taking a dump in the woods or something. And in the second set, I was really able to kind of visualize that. And, you know, I gotta say it's a good cue. So I was able to get the proper feeling and depth in the squats, and you know, they felt pretty good today. I bumped up the weight a little bit just to see if I could push a little. I went to 140, so not like a huge jump, but still enough to kind of work just a little bit harder than on Thursday. And you know, it felt good. They felt really nice. I didn't feel any sort of twang in my lower back that I felt on Tuesday or on Thursday. So something definitely kind of helped progress in the technique with that. And I think it has to do with, again, the positioning that my buddy recommended for me, or not so much the positioning, but the cues that he recommended to kind of think of, and especially with where to place my body in the negative of that squat. So definitely want to keep working on these, just because they feel good. The only thing that's kind of weird is that just getting used to having the bar rubbing against my my collarbones and my neck, as opposed to on my back. One other thing that I did realize as well that I remembered, I think either in the third or the fourth set. Actually, on this set, I thought I was going to back squat for a second, just had to force it to happen. I was like, wait a second, that's the wrong movement. What am I doing? But in this set, in the third or fourth set, I remembered keep your head upright and don't let your chin come down on the bar because you'll choke yourself. And I was really able to kind of combine everything together in this fifth set where I was pausing the reps, holding that lower position. I was getting a lot of good depth in these back squats here, or these front squats, and being able to keep my head up, and just everything felt so good in these in that final set. Going into the block pulls, I just wanted to see how my hips were doing on a lockout with the trap bar, since watching back the different videos of me pulling 400 and 440, it seems that my limiting factor is my ability to break the weight off the ground. So I wanted to just kind of see how powerful my hips were after all of the loading I've done on them with doing block pulls in the past, and then doing just heavier deadlifts and the remaining deadlifts, and all of the just everything I've done to kind of build that muscle up, that, you know, that area up in my legs. And I did extremely well. The 135 and 225 just kind of flew up. The 275 felt pretty good. Did 3 reps on that. I was originally going to do 5, I was originally going to do 3 on this, just because I didn't want to go too high, or, you know, too high in the reps, you know, as I went up in the weight, because I wanted to see if I could push close to 500 on the block pulls on these. The 315, I was originally going to do 2 reps on, but I didn't chalk my hands, and I figured I'd be fine, but I was not. The bar was a little slick just because my hands were sweating doing this, and, you know, hubris strikes. I got the 1 rep in. I was going to do the second, but then the bar dumped, and that is partly, I think, because I'm still not used to grabbing the bar from this side. So it's weird to say, because I've lifted this bar hundreds of times, but I was thrown off by where to place my hands. And so it's a little difficult in that position, which is a little weird. So I made sure to kind of pay a little more attention when I pulled the 365. That went up fairly easily. Again, I'm not really pulling it up too much. I'm like maybe 6, 7 inches. Well, no, I'd say maybe about like a a foot or two. Um, but, you know, 365, 405, all moved very easily, to be expected. I was able to, I can pull 440 raw off the ground. So I was like, okay, let's do 440 raw here. Chalked my hands up, found a good position, and just lifted the weight up, no problem. And it again moved very quickly, about as quickly as it did. Well, quicker than it did during just the regular lift with that. And so I was like, all right, that weight's got to go up because that was too easy. This is the heaviest I've pulled since tearing my shoulder. So 475 pounds on a block pull. Granted, this isn't like a traditional block pull. It's a hex bar, but it's still the heaviest weight I've picked up, by myself since tearing my shoulder back in May of 2021. So this felt really good to do. And when I came back and watched the video on it, and especially with how it felt in the lift, that weight just flew up. And I went back and watched it on the camera, and I was like, oh my God, I could definitely do more. And the most I've ever pulled on a block pull was about 495 or 500 even. So I said, hey, I'm going to 6 and 35 and a 25 on the end. It was the most I could fit on the bar, and they were actually almost sticking off the ends of the bars. And I had to use some bands to hold the weight in place, which always kind of like a nice feeling because you can't physically fit more weight on the bar. Pulled once here, and the bar leaned because I'm still, again, not like 100% used to where I need to place the weight on this. So I tried to reset because it went up easy. That was a rep, and I decided to try again. But the bar kind of dumped again when I was doing it, and I decided I'm going to take like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, walk away, just kind of resituate myself, and then pull it once for a clean rep. And I did. Now the plates that I have on there, I've got 345s, 235s, and a 25. And I need to get more 45-pound plates. And to be honest, I need to get more that are a little bit thinner. 2 of my 45s are somewhat thin, but I've got one that's pretty thick. And then the 35-pound bumper plate, which is the blue one, so it's the wrong color to begin with, is fairly thick too. So it takes up a lot of real estate on this trap bar, which is pretty small. I've been considering buying a new one, a new trap bar, just to get more space on the pins because there's just not much loadable area on this trap bar. But man, look at that, 500. That went up so easy. I really do need to borrow some weights from a friend of mine and then just see what I can do. I think I might be able to do 600 or something on that bar just with my hips. And if that's the case, it's giving me the temptation to go build smaller blocks for a block pull. Those are about 9 inches high, and I might make some that are 4 inches. So honestly, I only have to make a second box to go with my deficit box that I already have, and pull the weight from there, just because I would be able to just do so much more, and than I can off the floor. And if I can get my ability to pull off the floor to be a little bit closer to what I can do off of blocks, I think I can pull 500 pounds right now. Just because if I can get it off the ground, I can lock it out. There's nothing stopping me at that point once I have it up, just because my hips are so strong at this point. After being the weakest part of my lift, I've completely turned everything on its head. And if I can break the weight, I can lock it out. So it's a very exciting and positive development for me. And I think in a couple of weeks I want to try again and see if I can push even higher, maybe to 550 or even 600 pounds. So we'll just have to see what happens. It's always exciting and always fun pushing limits like this.